to discuss the versatile power of shell scripting, or the language that has been with Unix since 1969 and continued to expand itself in different flavors of the Unix and eventually into the Linux systems and all the relative derivatives. It's good to have a quick overview about programming language levels and understanding where the shell programming is actually situated. The first generation of the language was the front panel instruction that was originally used to be able to program the computers, and that is not much of a practice these days. Then was the second generation, or assembly, that was used in order to program the chips and embedded systems at a very low level. That can be still used in some particular circumstances and cases when the extraordinary speed is necessary. Then you had the third generation, which that is where the construct and the algorithm started to form, and that will be the C programming languages as an example. And I choose C programming language as an example because it is the fundament of most of the programming languages and the operating systems these days. As a matter of fact, Unix was originally written in assembly and it was rewritten in the C language, and all the libraries were changed. So all the Linux operating systems libraries are basically fundamentally written in C, and they're all available through the C functions classes, C++ classes, and so on. Then you have fourth generation, which as an example I chose Perl, which used to be very popular and could have been considered as a third generation too. But now Python is a lot more used, and I consider it the most powerful language that can be used in different areas of the operating system, network, and even the databases and statistical analysis. Last but not least, we have the shell programming language, or scripting, that lies somewhere between fourth and the third generation, depending how you use it. Originally it didn't have as much construct, but there were many different companies that developed it, or people who developed it, such as the C shell, corn shell, and the Bourne shell. And at the end they all came together and created the Born Again shell, which uses all the usefulness of these different types of the shell and made it into more of a programming language. What that means is that you actually can write functions, you can pass variables, and you can write it very modular. And that is why it's extremely powerful compared to other automation and scripting languages, such as the Microsoft PowerShell, which is actually not a power, it's just a marketing name calling it power, which is really, in comparison to the Unix shell, quite inferior and basically not as modular. Now, when to use shell is, generally speaking, when you have a CLI interface for any system, for instance AWS, CLI standing for command line interface, it is very easy to be able to manipulate these commands with the shell. And actually there is no necessity at this point to write the Python program from the scratch to be able to write all those functionalities. Now, if those functionalities are not existing, then it would be a good idea to reconstruct those functionalities using sort of a lower level language such as Python, and reconstruct it from the scratch and make it customized. Now, depending on the customization, you go one level lower at third generation like C programming or C++. For an example, if you're writing some socket that you need for the network, you don't really need to start writing a Python program to open up the socket to make some communication. Unless you want to write a specific socket for specific data and architecture, then that's the time that you go to that level. As a conclusion, the general application for bash or shell scripting in a Unix Linux environment, which is basically the most of the systems these days, is for network analysis, OS automation, or the cloud such as AWS, Amazon Web Services, command line interface automations, and general data manipulations depending on the type of the data you have, even extracting data from the databases by encapsulating such languages as SQL or other type of TXT, CSV manipulation of the data is all possible with bash. So that would be the first place I would go to because it's faster and quicker to write. Now, if you would like to have any more information in more detail, I'm glad to make more clips. Please subscribe and click on bell notifications for the newer videos.